Hi, welcome to Ayurooms TV. My name is Aly Alidina. Today, I'm going to be talking about transforming lives through Ayurveda. I'm going to be sharing with you my journey from back surgery over 25 years ago to living the pain-free life. And at the core of that transformation is Ayurveda. And that's why this presentation is called Transforming Lives Through Ayurveda. So let's get into it. Let's start off by talking about what is Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is, first of all, traditional medicine in India. It's the world's oldest living system of healthcare. It treats the mind, body, and environment as one. In Ayurveda, any disease or ailment cannot be looked at in isolation. Something that begins in the body can affect the mind. Something that begins in the mind can affect the body. Sometimes illness comes to us from outside of ourselves and then affects the body and mind in different ways. So Ayurveda treats disease, treats the human being as much more than just a body. Everything reverberates on each other, whether it's the mind, the body, the environment, it all kind of comes together in one system. Ayurveda finds toxicity as the root cause of most of our ailments. So we basically develop toxicity through the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and even the thoughts that we think. So in Ayurveda, what they try to do is they try to find where does toxicity reside in the body, and they try to remove it through various treatments. Ayurveda is a way of life. It prescribes things that human beings should do related to their diet, to their sleep, to the way they work, the environment. There are many, many different things where Ayurveda offers guidance and prescriptions. So the Ayurveda life is really one that's all encompassing. It is truly holistic. So when we talk about holistic medicine, we're talking about a system of medicine that governs every aspect of one's life. Now, we're going to jump into my story of transformation, which really goes to my childhood when at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. Scoliosis is curvature of the spine. And this image here is very close to what my spine looked like. I think my curve was a little bit worse than what's shown. Here's another image of a spine with scoliosis. And what you can see is that there is a particular measure right there known as the Cobb angle, which is the point where the curve begins and where it ends. And my particular spine had a curve of around 54 degrees. It started out at around 49 and then it was getting progressively worse each year. And therefore, the decision was taken during my childhood that I should have surgery. Essentially, the doctors told my parents that, look, he plays a lot of hockey, he plays a lot of sports. If the guy gets hit in one of the contact sports, he's going to be in the wheelchair for the rest of his life. So it was really dire, and I really had no choice. And so at the age of 14 in 1993, I had two surgeries back to back. The first one, the metal rod popped out of my back and had to be reinstalled, or an entirely new rod had to be put in. And this is today what my spine looks like. This picture was taken in 1995, or 2015, 20 years after my back surgery. Let's take a closer look at that. So you can see that pretty much from my lower back all the way up into my mid back or just above it, my entire spine is got a metal rod bolted into it. So it's quite restrictive. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the post-surgery life. What was the consequence of the surgery? The doctor's intentions weren't necessarily to prevent me from experiencing pain. What the intention was to correct the curve as much as possible, so they managed to straighten it, and also to make sure it didn't get worse and that I had strength and stability in my spine. So that was the intention. But while that was achieved, it wasn't like the pain was gone. So my post-surgery life was characterized by 1 year of no sports, only swimming. And I was prone to periodic back spasms. If I did something in sports that was a bit too much for my back, or I was carrying something really heavy, I would experience flare-ups, unexpected flare-ups, in which case I'd be down possibly for a day, maybe 2 days, maybe longer, where I'd basically have to just stay bedridden. I developed over the years dependencies on a wide range of different holistic health practitioners. These included physiotherapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, osteopaths, rolfers. Even going to the gym became an addiction. If I didn't go to the gym, almost every day, I could expect back pain. So going to the gym helped me to moderate the back pain, and as well as all these different therapies. But the problem was that I was always dependent on someone else or something else in order to manage my back pain. I also was in a situation where the pain never went away. It was a constant. It was always there in the background. And so it always was in my psyche. And then there was fear. I always was afraid of injury. I was always afraid of doing something that might affect my back pain. Even something as simple as sitting on a stool or sitting on a chair that did not have adequate back support, sleeping in the wrong type of bed, all of these different things I was constantly afraid of and had to live with that fear. And between age 25 and 35, I had to see a chiropractor at least once a week in order to manage my spine. And so that element of dependency really played into my mental well-being. And there was always a sense of, my God, when's the back pain going to hit again? I had a really weak back, and I had no flexibility, and I had very poor balance. I remember my first yoga class when they asked us to do a tree pose where we had to basically stand on one leg. I just couldn't do it. I mean, it was just so difficult to balance. And after getting into Ayurveda, after getting to yoga, these are the things that happened. This is an image of me taken in 2014, shortly after I experienced Ayurveda for the first time. As you can see, I'm holding up the entire weight of my body on 2 hands. Today, I don't have fear of back pain. I don't have fear of sitting on the wrong type of chair or riding in a rickshaw. I don't have fear of having back support, so to speak, because I have developed strength in my back, and a lot of the pain has subsided. I wouldn't say completely gone away. There are moments where I can do things in sports or not get a good night's sleep or just develop tightness from sitting for a long time. But the benefit is now with Ayurveda, with yoga, I am capable of managing my own back. I'm stronger today. I'm more flexible. I have much more energy. I'm empowered to look after my health. I have the tools to manage my own health. I have pretty good balance, as you can see from this image, and I'm finally not dependent on any external therapist. There was a time when I would see a massage therapist every week. I would see an acupuncturist every week. I would see a chiropractor every week. I would be spending like $200-300 every week on these different alternative therapies. And if I didn't go for my alternative therapy, psychologically as well as physically, I'm like, I gotta go. Today, there is no such dependency, and it's all the result of Ayurveda combined with yoga. And I put the two together because they cannot be separated, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So how it happened. My first experience with Ayurveda was in 2014 at the age of 35. I wish I'd started sooner, but life happens when you least expect. I saw a dramatic difference in my energy levels. So what happened was I went to an Ayurveda center for 12 days, and I went back to Canada, started playing ball hockey again in sports. And what I noticed was, despite playing very hard hockey for 2 hours, I bounced back really quick, as in I wasn't sore for a week like I used to be. I'd be sore for a day and I'd be ready to go again. So I was able to physically recover from hard sports a lot faster, which literally made me feel like I was in my 20s again. And so something happened, and whatever happened, I decided that I got to go back to India again. So I went back to India 2 more times that year, did another week of Ayurveda, followed by another week of Ayurveda. And each time that I went back, I learned yoga. I got more into yoga. In fact, my Ayurvedic doctor told me that if I wanted to sustain the benefits of yoga, I should get into yoga and I should do yoga on a daily basis. And I took that advice to heart and implemented it, and I'm all the better for it. Today, I continue to practice yoga every single day, not just because my back needs it, but because it does a lot for me, as well as, mental well-being, spiritual well-being. Yoga is much more than exercise, as you may discover if you get into yoga. I would emphasize that it's important to learn yoga through private classes as opposed to group classes, so that you can really work one-on-one with a teacher who can then help you or tailor the yoga to your needs, which may not be possible in a group class. This was something I was able to do, and I traveled to India to learn yoga from private adept teachers. So just the other point I wanted to make was, as a result of my experience, I then decided to found a company called Ayurooms, which is a company I continue to run today. And Ayurooms was founded with the mission to help others discover Ayurveda and yoga and transform their lives through these two ancient sciences. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what Ayurvedic treatments look like. As you can see in this picture, a woman is receiving a head massage. Many Ayurvedic treatments begin with a head massage before they get into a fuller treatment. Another common treatment for stress relief and cervical issues and all sorts of psychic issues is something called Shirodhara. It's basically a treatment that's designed to induce relaxation, where you get oil that's poured continuously along your forehead. There's also a treatment for nasal cleansing. This treatment's called Nasyam, and it basically works on any issues above the shoulders. Another treatment in Ayurveda is a hot oil bath, or this treatment is called Pirichil, where they basically pour oil across your entire body, warm medicated oil. Sometimes it can be a little bit on the hotter side, it can be on the cooler side, but basically it's the idea of getting a very warm medicated oil bath to, soothe the muscles. This is a treatment that's typically administered for people who may suffer from immobility or paralysis or weak muscles and other ailments. This is a treatment for neck pain, and this treatment is called basti or griva basti in this particular case. A basti is where they create like a bread bowl, almost a dough, with access to a particular part of the spine or body that they want to work upon. In this case, there's a pool of warm to hot oil around the cervical region. So this is a treatment for neck pain. A similar application is for back pain. You can do this on the lower back. You can do this on the knees. So depending where the pain area is, they create this kind of pool and they put hot oil there, medicated hot oil, which penetrates through the skin and lubricates and relaxes that particular joint or area of the body. This is another look at that knee treatment. This is a full body scrub known as Urdhvatanam. This is a treatment that's typically administered for slimming. This is a treatment involving medicated bundles. And what this is a pouch in which they put herbs, or they might put milk, or they might put rice, or a combination of all these different things that's intended to either strengthen the back or relax the body in some way. There are literally hundreds of variations of this particular type of treatment. So this is something that's very common in Ayurveda. This is a deep tissue massage in Ayurveda that involves someone using their feet and their body weight to really dig deep into the muscles to create that kind of like a sports massage, and it's very, very deep. And it's not for everyone. It's rarely done. It's basically for people who are already pretty strong and in good health and who really need a deeper massage. This is a treatment that basically involves wearing a cap, and then they put warm oil on your scalp and it sits there as a pool. And it basically is designed to reduce stress. It can be used to treat cervical issues, issues like insomnia. It's a very, very potent treatment, not often done, but it is available at most Ayurvedic resorts. So that's a quick overview of external treatments. Yoga is, as I mentioned earlier, part of the experience of going to an Ayurveda center. Any good Ayurvedic resort will also offer quality yoga, because yoga and Ayurveda work hand in hand. It is said that Ayurveda works on the physical body, whereas yoga works on the mental body or the mind. So the two work hand in hand, and yoga really helps to sustain the benefits of Ayurvedic treatment. At the same time, people who practice yoga a lot can benefit from Ayurveda, because it's not like just because you're very good at yoga or proficient or you practice regularly that you might be in the best of health. All of us are subject to toxicity. All of us experience stress. And therefore, Ayurveda can add to the lives of yogis, and yoga can add to the lives of people who don't practice it. And when the two come together, it is really a transformative practice. Another aspect of the Ayurveda experience, or when you go to an Ayurveda resort, is the doctor's consultation. It's probably one of the first things you do after check-in. So the doctor's consultation lasts anywhere from half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how many health issues that you have to talk about with the doctor. And based on the consultation, the doctor then plans your entire program. And this is something that some people struggle with, because they want their entire program planned before you get to the resort. It rarely can happen like that. It's necessary that you have a face-to-face consultation, because in Ayurveda, a lot of diagnostics require you to have that physical interface or touch with the doctor. For example, they might have to palpate you on a particular part of your body, on your spine, on your knee, on a particular muscle, to figure out what's going on there. They need to check your pulse. So there are a lot of physical diagnostics that cannot be done online. And once you come to an Ayurveda center, that first consultation sets the tone, or determines what your schedule is going to be like over the next week to 21 days or a month, depending on how long you intend to stay. Another part of the daily experience at an Ayurveda center is a daily health checkup, where the doctor might check your pulse, they might check your blood pressure, they might inspect your tongue, they'll ask you a number of questions about how you slept, how many times you went to the washroom, et cetera, et cetera. This is all part of the daily health checkup, and is something that one should expect to happen on a daily basis when you're at an Ayurveda center. Now, I want to come back to the topic of transforming lives, because that's ultimately what this is all about. My own life was transformed through Ayurveda. It was transformed from a life that was having constant back pain to a life where today I am largely free of that back pain and able to manage it on my own. So how do we get there? What's involved? What's the process? Well, the first thing I want to get into before that is, let's make Ayurveda relevant to you. You might be asking about, why does Ayurveda really matter, especially if I don't have pain per se? Well, number one, it's about self-knowledge. You might know things about yourself. You might know that you like spicy food. You might know that you're prone to getting a cold, or that when the seasons change, you get sick. You might know that you are prone to sweating a lot, or if you don't wear your deodorant, you might smell at the end of the day. So you might know a lot of things about yourself, but do you know the why? Why are you the way you are? What are you made of elementally? What are you made of in terms of energy? Knowing yourself at a deeper level is what Ayurveda enables. Finally, or secondly, Ayurveda is a science of self-healing. It's not just about going to a place and getting fixed, but it's about developing tools, about acquiring knowledge, that will enable you to heal yourself and prevent ill health. That's ultimately what Ayurveda is about. So whereas you might develop a dependency on going to a massage therapist or going to your physio or going to a particular acupuncturist, and that dependency or that regular visit is your only savior, in Ayurveda, you have the opportunity to learn the science of looking after yourself, because Ayurveda is fundamentally a science of self-healing. Today, we hear a lot about the immune system in a pandemic world. There are people who are clamoring to take the vaccine because they are afraid of the virus and its potential impact on their immune system. We hear the word immunocompromised all the time, or at least we used to, that people are immunocompromised or particularly vulnerable. Well, as the case may be, Ayurveda enables people to build, repair, and strengthen their immune system. And that is something that can be done naturally. And I leave it to you to interpret that. Stress relief. We all are exposed to stress, but do you know that the greater part of stress, 80–90% of stress, is unconscious? It's not the stress that we think about in our mind. And that unconscious stress wreaks havoc on this body. And in order to address that unconscious stress, we need Ayurveda. Ayurveda can enable us to relieve ourselves of stress, in addition to the treatments that we receive, which work on the conscious stress. Pain relief. Very few of us live without some pain or the other. We might have knee pain, back pain, wrist pain, some other pain in the body, even emotional pain. Ayurveda gives us tools to reduce pain, if not entirely cure it. And as I mentioned earlier, Ayurveda is fundamentally about detoxification. Today, detox has become a very popular word. We hear about, drink this particular smoothie to detox, or eat these foods to detox. Ayurveda gives a very in-depth understanding of what detox is. And there are things that are done in Ayurveda, internal medicines, special drinks, special decoctions, special formulae that you can drink, and that enables the body to detoxify itself. So Ayurveda is not just about external treatments, but actually the greater part of Ayurveda are the internal treatments, the things that are consumed orally that will detoxify your entire body. And when I say your entire body, I mean from the furthest, deepest parts of your toes all the way up to your head. Ayurveda can give you a total full body detox, because there are procedures in Ayurveda that go far deeper than anything else in any other system of medicine. All right, coming back to what can we learn? Let's summarize. What can we learn from Ayurveda? Number one, diet. We can learn what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. In Ayurveda, we learn that when we eat is even more important than what we eat. So in Ayurveda, there are specific times of the day that are recommended for eating, and we learn that through Ayurveda. We learn what are the specific times that we should sleep, and when should we not sleep, and how can we sleep better. There are numerous things that are prescribed in Ayurveda for sleep. We learn about the importance of self-massage. And you might not think that this is important, but I remember that when I first started going to an Ayurveda center, my doctor kept telling me, massage yourself every day with this particular oil. And I used to think, what would it benefit me from massaging myself? How will I benefit from that? And I didn't get it in the beginning. But after I took the doctor's advice and started doing it regularly, every time I played hockey or had a really intensive workout, I would apply certain oils to myself. And I continue to use a variety of oils to this day. And what you can learn with Ayurveda is how to reduce, if not eliminate, pain in the body through applications to the skin, through self-massage. It's a very, very important part of Ayurveda. It's part of the routine of self-care. And when you learn how to effectively massage yourself, again, that's part of the process of reducing your dependency on some third party to massage you. Showering and bathing. Ayurveda gives us very precise instruction as to when should you shower, when should you take a bath, when should you not do these things, and how you should do these things, and what is the benefit, and how does it impact your particular energy. So a lot of us just take showers and baths quite unconsciously, but Ayurveda is about bringing the conscious mind into these particular activities. Ayurveda also instructs us as to what to drink, when to drink, and how to drink. And I'm not talking here necessarily about alcohol, but I'm talking about even juices, even water, the temperature of a particular drink. Ayurveda gives us a lot of information on the things that we put on our body, how do they affect us? And that understanding is something that we can all benefit from. Exercise. A lot of people love to exercise, go to the gym. Some of us have a fixed schedule as to when we'll do it. Some go whenever we find time. But there is a time of day for everything. And Ayurveda even gets into when should you exercise, but for your particular body type and for your particular goals and objectives. So once we learn about Ayurveda and learn how it works and the principles of Ayurveda, we can then govern all these different aspects of our life. So where to start? I would say, first of all, come to India. Make a decision to go to an Ayurvedic center. Some people ask me, well, do I need to come to India, or why can't I just go to an Ayurveda clinic here in my particular province or state or city where I live? And my rationale or my reasoning is quite simple. Unless one is taken out of their physical environment, out of their comfort zone, into an environment where they can focus on health and healing, they cannot really begin that transformation. Transformation is dependent initially on a particular type of physical environment that facilitates health and healing. It's a residential process. You got to go there and live there at a particular resort for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. The minimum time is 7 days just to get started, to get a taste of what it's all about. If you want a real transformation, you gotta, like I only went for 12 days and I saw a dramatic result, but I wanted more of what I just experienced. So you need to plan on going to an Ayurveda center, doing what's called panchakarma, which is a proper detox, which requires 21 days. It can be done in less time. The point is, make the decision, go for an Ayurvedic detox, start in India, learn the knowledge, and then apply it when you get back home. Find the right resort. A lot of people pick resorts based on pretty pictures. A lot of people see the stuff even Ayurooms post and say, I want to go there. But the right resort for you is the one that will address your particular health issue. And this is something that we do at Ayurooms. We try to figure out what it is that each resort is effective at treating. And that's very important. So a decision about where to go should not be made in isolation of what is your health objective. Choose a resort based on your health objective, and that's something where we can assist. Make the necessary time. Many people develop an ailment and suffer through that ailment for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's unrealistic to expect that ailment to disappear overnight. There are people who experience dramatic changes to an ailment they've had in as little as 3 or 4 or 5 days. But the overwhelming majority of health conditions, particularly if they are chronic or acute or severe, they need time. And the minimum suggested time frame in Ayurveda is typically 21 days. But I would say there's a range of 7 to 28 days in which you can work within. Some people stay as long as 2 or 3 months. It really depends what is the particular condition that you're treating and how severe is it. But the point is, make the time. The more time you give it, the more results that you can expect. Learn about Ayurveda. There are some fantastic books on Ayurveda right now. These include the authors Dr. Vasant Lad and Dr. Suhas Kishorsagar. These are two adepts of Ayurveda that I've learned a ton just from reading their books. And I strongly recommend these two individuals in particular as a good starting point where you can learn about Ayurveda. Practice yoga. I can't emphasize this enough. Yoga is very important to practice in addition to Ayurveda. And I believe that one should practice alone more so than in group classes. The reason is simple. When you're alone, you do what your body is able to do. You are able to listen to your body. You're not focused on what's going on out there. You're focused on what's going on in here. And that's very, very important in yoga. And eventually through practice, you unleash or you give life to the inner teacher. There is a teacher that lives in each one of us, and that teacher comes alive when we practice yoga on our own. But in order to practice yoga on your own, it's necessary to learn from an adept, to go to a center dedicated for yoga or dedicated to Ayurveda and yoga, and to learn from someone who's proficient at yoga, and then to apply that knowledge by practicing it every single day. Finally, start by making one incremental change in your life each month. And I'm not saying you need to start that today. When you get into Ayurveda, you will learn so many things, right? You will learn what time to go to sleep, when to have lunch, when to take a shower. You know, there are too many things you can learn from Ayurveda. If you try to implement it all at once, it'll be overwhelming. So the solution is to pick one thing, one lesson that you learn from Ayurveda and implement that one thing each month, or until that one thing doesn't become a chore, that you just do it. It's part of your routine. It's what you do. And once that becomes part of your routine, then add one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. One incremental change each month leads to 12 changes in a year. And those 12 changes are completely transformative. They change your life. And when you do that over a number of years, you create a totally different life for yourself. So, what does the wellness landscape look like in India? And this is the final part of my presentation. Thank you if you've stayed with me until now. I really appreciate it. So how do you decide where to go? What are the different resorts? What do they look like? So I'm just going to talk generically rather than to get into specifics. But generically, what does a wellness landscape look like in India? So the first are what we call pure Ayurveda resorts. They primarily administer Ayurvedic treatment, and yoga is part of the treatment process, but it's pure in the sense that there's nothing else that they do apart from Ayurveda. There's an Ayurvedic doctor or multiple Ayurvedic doctors, and they administer Ayurveda-based treatments, and that's it. They don't draw on any other tradition of medicine. I tend to prefer Ayurveda resorts or pure Ayurveda resorts, but there are also a number of other good health resorts. The second one being naturopathy resorts. At a naturopathy resort, the head doctor is typically a naturopath, and he may be qualified in more than one science, but he's a naturopath by training, by education. And at a naturopathy resort, the emphasis may be more on diet as opposed to physical treatments. The emphasis, there are also different forms of treatments that you won't find at an Ayurveda center. For example, there might be acupuncture, there might be foot reflexology, there might be colonics or special types of colonics, there might be special mud therapies, which are not commonly found in Ayurveda. So there are things that happen at a naturopathy resort that otherwise would not happen at an Ayurveda resort. You may get Ayurveda at a naturopathy resort, or you may not. It really depends on the doctor that you see in the resort that you go to. The third type of resort is what I would call an interdisciplinary resort. An interdisciplinary resort is where they have people who are qualified in Western medicine, and they also have Eastern medicine, for example, Chinese medicine, and they have Ayurveda, and they have naturopathy, and they have Reiki and pranic healing and different alternative therapies. And typically the doctors sit with the patient as a panel, or the patient may have to go to multiple doctors during the doctor's consultation phase. And then the doctors decide a program that draw on different health disciplines. It's very attractive, very appealing, tends to be more expensive, but it's also out there in India and very effective. So this is another type of center. So I tend to distinguish between centers based on the topology of treatments that they offer, and these are the three. But we can also distinguish resorts based on price. So the cheapest resorts, the most affordable resorts tend to be what's known as homestays. Ayurveda homestays are basically where the doctor is allowing you into his home, or he has a specific center attached or near to his home, where there's only about 4 or 5 or 6 rooms, a very limited number of rooms. It's a very homely environment, and it's budget friendly. When I say budget friendly, $40, $50 a day to maybe, $100 or $125 a day at most. So in the budget friendly category, they're typically homestays or very small resorts that are the first category. Then there's what I would call premium resorts. Premium resorts are like 4-star hotels or around a 4-star quality. They're hospitals with hospitality. And I don't mean the kind of hospital where, you have to go for surgery. And, I mean like a place that's primarily around treating illness. It's like a spa, but the resort is kind of creates that ambiance of like a hotel. And you might have services like a swimming pool or a beach, very good food, a lavish buffet. So that's what I would call a premium category, which is more like a resort you would find in Mexico or the Caribbean or Jamaica or something like that, but they have this medical element to it. And that's what I would call a premium resort. Then we have the highest category, and highest in terms of quality of accommodations and price, not necessarily quality of treatment. These are luxury resorts that are 5-star, even 7-star quality resorts. I mean, you would get sprawling pool villas, jacuzzi villas, massive rooms, and very, very luxurious. But they also offer high quality Ayurvedic treatment or naturopathy-based treatments or interdisciplinary treatments. In the interdisciplinary category, there are a lot of luxury resorts that are very good at what they do, also very expensive, as shown on the slide, typically starting in excess of $400 a day and up per person. These are all inclusive rates. That means they include everything I'm going to talk about on the next slide, which is your package. What does your typical package look like? So first of all, it includes your accommodations. It includes all meals and medicines for the duration of stay. I'm talking here about industry norms. There are variations resort to resort. For example, some resorts charge you for medicine. Detailed health consultation on arrival, followed by daily health checkups. These are typically included. Daily body treatments. I'm talking about external treatments here, massages, scrubs, baths. Daily yoga, at least 60 minutes. Some places offer more, 2 or 3 sessions per day. Airport transfers, typically included with a stay of 7 nights or more. So that's the end of my presentation. I really thank you for, if you've watched until now, I know it's been a bit long. I really thank you for tuning in. If you like this presentation, please subscribe to Ayurooms so that you are alerted as to when the next video is uploaded. Feel free to send me an email or send me a WhatsApp message on the number posted on the screen. And do let me know what you thought of this video or any questions that you might have by leaving a comment at the end of this video so that I know what to do or know what to talk about in the next video. And please feel free to email me as well. Thank you for tuning in, and do tune in for the next video. Thanks a lot.